Hey everyone! In today's later episode, we'll be exploring the ancient Egypt civilization. Remember all the huge pyramids, cool mummies, and powerful pharaohs like Hatshepsut? Yes? Awesome! But wait a second. If ancient Egypt was so great, why had much of its culture been diluted? Well, the answer to that is simply due to the civilization's war history. As many of you would have guessed, ancient Egypt started off as a blessed civilization. Being strategically located in rough terrains and harsh deserts had enabled them to focus on crafting weaponries and technology. These had inevitably made them one of the greatest military forces of history. However, despite starting off as one of the greatest civilizations, ancient Egypt was still susceptible to foreign invasions. In this video, we'll be focusing on 3 foreign conquests, which were the Nubian, Persian, and Macedonian, starting from 728 BC. This was when the Nubian king Tyre conquered Egypt. So let's begin.
The Kingdom of Nubia came into existence during the time of Egypt's Old and Middle Kingdoms, from 2686 BCE to 1650 BCE. The Nubians were Egypt's neighbors and often exploited for their wealth in gold, incense, and ivory. During Egypt's second intermediate period, from 1782 BCE to 1570 BCE, however, the Nubian kingdom rose to power. At around 760 BCE, an independent native dynasty began to rule Nubia from Napata in what is now known as Sudan and extended its influence into southern Egypt. The Nubians only ascended their rule upon Upper Egypt during the third intermediate period, from 1070 BCE to 712 BCE. In 729 BCE, Egyptian rulers Namlot and Tefnut allied to extend their power over Upper Egypt. Perceiving their intentions as a threat to his independence, King Tyre went against this alliance and was ultimately successful. In 728 BCE, he also became the first Nubian king to have ever ruled over Egypt. Due to instability within Lower Egypt, King Tyre was able to conquer that portion of the land as well. Unfortunately for him, his rule lasted only for less than a century, with the Nubians getting themselves taken over by the Assyrians, making the Nubians the last dynasty of the third intermediate period of ancient Egypt.
Moving on about a century later, we have the Persians. Around the year 525 BCE. Now this is an interesting story. According to Herodotus, the Persian king Cambyses II had requested for the pharaoh Amasis II's daughter's hand in marriage. Amasis, however, did not want his daughter to be married to a Persian, so he sent a fake daughter to marry Cambyses. Learning this cunning plot from his newly wedded wife, aka fake daughter, Cambyses was enraged at the pharaoh. To take his revenge, he began his invasion of Egypt. Interestingly enough, Amasis died before Cambyses could even invade Egypt, and his son, Psamtik III, was quickly ascended to the throne. Unfortunately for Psamtik, he was still far too young and inexperienced in battle. As Herodotus recounts, Psamtik captured the sons of Cambyses' military advisors, drained their blood, and mixed it with wine. He then drank the concoction and made all other councilmen drink it before the battles as well. Cambyses did try to make peace with the Egyptians by sending his men over on a boat to talk things out, but they were all almost immediately slaughtered by the Egyptians upon sight. Eventually, the Persians retaliated once again, and the Egyptians lost the battle and their nation as well.
The Persian conquest was just a temporary one. Egypt's power was soon transferred from Persia to Macedonia, but surprisingly, Alexander's ultimate goal was not Egypt but Persia. All these started with Persia's greedy westward expansion to Macedonia. Although unsuccessful, Macedonian King Philip II was determined to take revenge. Before he could do that, he was assassinated. Alexander took over and continued to battle against the Persian king, Darius, through Egypt as he fled. Meanwhile, Alexander passed by Egypt and established his first city, Alexandria. Although he's not an ideological tyrant, Alexander still exploited Egypt's resources like any other conqueror. Being only fascinated with Egypt's geographical location and the pharaoh's close connection with god Ammon, he did not force his religion and ideology through. He really attempted to advocate certain values, but on the condition of continuous food and troop funding. Hoping to gain religious justification of his territorial expansion, Alexander had to first earn the confirmation title, son of god Ammon. He thus made a visit to the well-known oracle of Ammon.
But wait! Unfortunately, Alexander died soon after, and his rule along with the spoils of war were divided among his successors. Eventually, Ptolemy, one of Alexander's generals, succeeded Egypt. The invasion of the Macedonians, who were sometimes referred to as the Greeks, ultimately ended the ancient Egyptian civilization.
Despite starting off as one of the greatest civilizations, ancient Egypt could not stop the invasions of foreign forces. At times, it was due to internal rivalries and neglect. At other times, it was simply a result of arrogance or uncontrollable foreign forces as illustrated in the Macedonian conquest. So, why are we studying this? Why is it so important to learn about ancient Egypt's war history?
It's simple. It's because history tends to repeat itself, so it doesn't really matter how great any one person or nation becomes. At the end of the day, there will always be others better out there. So let's strive for excellence, and while we do so, humble ourselves as well. History teaches us how to live better by learning from the mistakes of the past, so why not give it a go? It's been a wonderful pleasure sharing these accounts with all of you. Have an awesome day!